In this example, we want to find the solutions to 2x squared minus 12x plus 4 equals 0. Like with example 4, in the previous ones, we need to write this in a different form. We want to write it in the form a times x minus h squared plus k, because then we know how to solve it. The reason we can solve it if it's in this form is because x only shows up in one place. Please click the link to the right to see the steps to write it in this form. So we can now write 2x squared minus 12x plus 4 as 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 14. And now that we've written it as 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 14, we can solve it for x by undoing 4 operations. The first thing that happens to x is we subtract 3. Next, we square it. After that, we multiply by 2, and finally we subtract 14. So like we learned from Frog and Toad, to undo these operations, we want to in the opposite order. To undo subtracting 14, we add 14. To undo multiplying by 2, we divide by 2. Undoing squaring, we take the square root, and to undo subtracting 3, we add 3. So let's start by adding 14 to both sides. This gives us 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 14 plus 14 equals 0 plus 14, which is just 14. And because minus 14 plus 14 is 0, we just have 2 times x minus 3 squared. So now we have the equation 2 times x minus 3 squared equals 14, which is easier than the equation we began with. The next thing we need to do is divide by 2 on both sides. This gives us 2 times x minus 3 squared divided by 2 equals 14 divided by 2, which is 7. On the left, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we just have x minus 3 squared. Now, with the equation x minus 3 squared equals 7, we need to take the square root on both sides to undo the squaring. This gives us the square root of x minus 3 squared equals the square root of 7, which we can't simplify anymore. We'll just leave as the square root of 7. But on the left, we have the square root of something squared, which will give us the absolute value of that something, x minus 3. If you want to see why this is the absolute value of x minus 3, instead of just x minus 3, click the purple link to the left. Now we have that the absolute value of x minus 3 equals the square root of 7. So we know that x minus 3 itself must either be the positive or negative of the square root of 7. And since we know x minus 3, all we have to do to get x is to add 3 to both sides. So adding 3 to both sides gives our solutions. X equals 3 plus the square root of 7, and x equals 3 minus the square root of 7.